COVID-19 pandemic, shared working areas were the talk of the town. But the crisis has made companies change the landscape of their workspaces. So how do co-working areas adapt in this time of pandemic and community quarantines? Let's find out from the country manager of Regus and Spaces, Lars Wittig. Thank you so much for joining us, Lars, on the program. All right, during this whole community quarantine process, we've seen a lot of people working from home and using various home video conferencing applications. So is there still room for shared workspaces in this new normal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We need to help the workforces to return to work. And yes, it has proven to be very feasible, very productive to work from home. I think especially big enterprises have learned that they do not have to have their employees within eyesight and measure them by a timesheet. No, they can actually allow them to work the way they like, whenever, wherever. And working from home has been interesting. But here in the Philippines, often with the backdrop of barking dogs, the Tahoe salesperson, roosters, and you're often sitting in an environment of perhaps a very poor air conditioning and definitely very poor internet. So what we are offering with flexible workspace and co-working is an entire network so that employees can simply go to a flexible workspace co-working near their home and
But
not
Lars,
being
Lars,
yes.
a huge part of your clientele are also the small and medium-sized enterprises, and they have been significantly hit by this health crisis and the community quarantines.
Exactly. I mean, all our clients, from the smallest startups to the biggest enterprises, the entire world business froze around them. And for those, especially the big enterprises that didn't go flexible before, they are now stuck with a big amount of workspace that they probably don't need any longer in a typical CBD area. Whereas the small adaptable companies, they are flexible by definition when they have gone with co-working and flexible workspace. Often they are really only subscribing to have the office address with us and then to have free access to our entire network of workspaces, domestically as well as internationally.
But I've also learned in other countries, many companies now are using the distributed working model. So it's working from home, using the shared workspaces as the middle ground, and also working in their headquarters. Is this kind of formula also being used right now by companies in the Philippines?
We feel that very, very strongly now as the Philippines is opening up. The big companies, they do not dare to ask all of their employees to return to the traditional head office in a CBD area like in Ortigas, Makati, BGC. It is simply too risky not to have the distancing, and it is definitely too risky to get your entire organization under the same roof, the same ceiling. If only one person sneezes, you risk that your entire company are back home in quarantine for at least 2 weeks. So the natural move is to divide your organization up into teams. These individual teams must never interact with each other. And as you said, they need to be distributed. And that means that you need to have 5, 6, 7, 8 different work locations in lieu of the traditional only one.
And how are you trying to maintain the health protocols in your shared workspaces? Because you have conference rooms, you have small offices, and you also have community spaces. Briefly.
Oh, absolutely. We have had to reconfigure the entire setup to ensure the right distancing, all of the cleaning precautions, etc., to comply with our own global standards amid COVID-19, and of course also local government direction given. So we have adapted to all of that, but as long as we don't have a vaccine, there's no doubt that if you before maybe would fit 10 people into one office, then today it will be barely 5. And maybe it will never ever be more than those 5. We are seeing a dramatic
Yes.
change.
Dramatic change indeed. You have to adapt and be agile during these challenging times. Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. Lars Wittig, Philippines Country Manager for Spaces and Regus. And as we continue to battle COVID-19, it's important that